Welcome back to the Long and Thick podcast. We are here to help you navigate the noise and cut through the bullshit in the health and wellness space. That being said, we have some questions that came in. We did a Q&A not too long ago, but this is specifically around just like recovery modalities as a whole. We touched on a few of them, like I said, but we're going to hash out a few more that we may not have discussed. So we got 4 things here and we're going to get cruising. Number 1 is supplements in terms of recovery and the impact. Thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, the easiest one, the lowest hanging fruits is getting an adequate amount of protein intake, making sure you're hitting a good amount of maintenance calories or a tiny surplus to support your goals and recover properly from whatever bouts of exercise or resistance training that you did. That's going to be the easiest one. And that can come in any form: protein bars, protein powders, just a full faculty diet, which is going to be probably the absolute best thing for your recovery.
That's like top tier. So we'll go through each thing and sort of discuss like good versus bad versus the things that we were asked about. So protein and supplements is one. So good.
Yep. The next one I would say is creatine.
Yeah. So
that's something, that can pretty much be a benefit to anyone, even from a youth athlete all the way to a senior. Great benefit for muscle recovery, muscle performance while you're doing exercise. There's also been emerging research on cognitive benefits.
Yep, some mental acuity stuff.
Yeah, we talk about it all the time, either on the podcast, on our respective Instagram channels. Yeah. It's an auto include at this point. There's no reason not to be doing it.
Yeah, unless you're explicitly told by a doctor for a very clear reason with testing that's like no right now, which has happened. Then otherwise you're let it fucking rip.
Yeah, the barrier of side effects is incredibly low and incredibly rare.
Yeah.
Not to say it doesn't ever happen,
of course.
But it's a very small sample size compared to other supplements and medications and things like that. It should be an auto include for most.
Yeah, love it. And then last one on that list, actually we got 2 more. BCAAs or like aminos.
So there's one in particular that's going to be the largest advantage, and that's going to be leucine, which helps. It's pretty much the principal amino acid for muscle protein synthesis. However, I don't subscribe to or prescribe for others doing a broad BCAA supplement of any sort.
Powder, right?
Yes. It has no data behind it.
Yeah.
You should be getting most of your amino profiles from, say, your protein, because they're usually enriched with that, or just your diet.
Yeah.
But that's been kind of the wool. It's been pulled over a lot of people's eyes in the fitness thing. That's a multi-million dollar industry just in that supplement alone.
Yep.
And it does precisely jack shit for you.
Yeah.
So if you just wanted to do supplement with just leucine, great, especially if you do not get a lot of animal products in your diet, which can be a great benefit to support the other proteins that you're getting, where that might be a deficit than, say, a vegetarian or a vegan diet.
Yeah.
Supplementing with leucine will be a great advantage.
Hell yeah.
But BCAAs as a whole, like getting all of them in at once, I don't think has value.
Yeah, so a nay on there. How about crystal meth?
Oh, that's a good one. So that's been more of a performance additive for me. I don't think it's distracted me from the pain of working out. So in that sense, I feel slightly recovered. But once it actually wears off, I'm like, oh, maybe I need some BCAAs to figure that out.
I'll get you a new spoon for your birthday next year. Speaking of the supplement stuff, just wanted to mention that you can get a lot of good stuff through Thorn is one that I use. Daniel has some Thorn stuff. We're not big like only this brand or that or whatever. But I mentioned that because if you shoot us your email, we can send you a login kind of thing that will give you a 20% discount on all of their products, excluding like their tests, which are like gut tests and whatever. But that's just a thing to have in there.
Reason being is a very high quality supplement brand, third party tested. The scrutiny behind it and the quality of what you're getting is it's very nice.
Yeah, it's top tier stuff. All right.
So before we digress, is there any supplements that you personally use that we may have not talked about that you feel aids in recovery or your recovery?
Something that's just good to have that people we'll skip over is like a really good, I use like liposomal vitamin C. The big benefit around that, especially if you're trying to recover from some kind of like tendinous injury, is it will help in that process.
Gotcha.
And that's just a good thing to have.
Nice.
Zinc, right? The things to bolster immune stuff also have a lot of co-contributing factors to some physiological processes that aid in collagen production, all that kind of stuff. So,
Dig it.
yeah. Moving on, we got the thermotherapy and weird shit. So the list is
I love a good weird shit.
cold plunges, sauna, sensory deprivation, salt caves, and red light therapy.
Okay. I have experience with some of those.
Yeah.
Not in others. I'll let you run with this one. What are your thoughts?
So I think with the cold plunge, there's been a huge crazy wave in just like the Wim Hof stuff.
It is a cultural phenomenon, to say the very least, over the last like 3 to 5 years.
Yep. And I would say it's positive for sure. There's like a good phrase we like to use. I feel like that gets repeated here quite a bit, of like the stealing of your mind, and just like this ability to sit and rest in the unrest and the discomfort and the willingness to put yourself in a position that is uncomfortable and unpleasant across the board. The benefits are just like so anecdotal. So with a lot of these things, really it ends up being like, if you like it, yes. But with the cold plunge, personally, it's something that I like, especially when we're talking about like contrast therapy. I don't do it a lot because it's a big chore, and it's usually like a big price tag to go to a place that you pay for a membership and has both of those things.
Sure.
Is it going to make your ACL recover sooner? I would tell you no. What maybe could it? Maybe. But I'm going to tell you, if I had to give you an answer, that is not the thing that's going to make you heal faster.
Yeah, it's a tough proposition when you approach people that ask you like, hey, what do you think about it? And I was like, hey, listen, it has nice, endocrine dopamine type effects.
Boosts,
Like, so that's a nice feeling internally and mentally to have, to be able to manipulate your focus and your energy like that.
Hell yeah.
It can reduce soreness if you are like an immense endurance athlete. However, despite everyone loving it and everyone, preaching its praises, there's just not a lot of data that validates any of the claims that people have for it in terms of minimizing inflammation. It also reduces muscle protein synthesis, because your body does need inflammation to synthesize new muscle and like cue that adaptation. And there's also nothing behind the brown fat activation. So if you, like you said, if you like it, you like it. I'm not, trying to yuck anybody's yum, but if you then turn around and start preaching all these benefits like it's gospel, it's not validated.
Yeah. It's low hanging fruit. If you're talking about how do I recover the fastest, especially from an injury, this is not the catalyst that will like boost everything along. It's not a bad thing to have as an additive, but if you're like not sleeping and eating, you're sort of fucked, and you're like focusing on this more.
And there's a nice cultural benefit. There is a
communal aspect, 100%.
So, and we're not taking that away from anybody. There's a couple places here that already have like incredibly now deep rooted budding communities around contrast therapy, breath work, meditation. It's changing people's lives for the better.
100%.
It's just not doing it in the ways that people usually tout the scientific benefits being. Yeah. So that's all.
Yeah. So I would say it's good.
Good.
But is it the recovery modality you think it is? Probably not.
Right.
Sauna?
I'm a big fan of infrared sauna personally.
Yeah.
That is usually my go-to. I've done contrast therapy of just actual like hot sheds or hot tents and cooking in a more wet atmosphere kind of thing, but I prefer infrared. Just with how I feel afterwards. Now, I don't look for it other than maybe a tiny ancillary immune boost, lowering inflammation. I just feel better afterwards.
Something fun to do when you're with people. Yeah,
100%. And so, but I am not leaning on it as a recovery modality. It is more so a novelty for me.
Sure.
So would that change if I had, say, an infrared sauna in my house?
Probably.
Yeah. But it's more of a treat, twice a month.
Yep.
just to enjoy it, sweat out some fierce for like an hour.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I think in terms of if it's an application, like again, ACL's blown up and you're like, oh, I'll do this to help it. No. But as a lifestyle practice, there are definitely very clear studies on the benefits of very regular sauna use. And we're talking about in, Sweden and more European countries that where it is a very normal daily practice thing. Yes. The temperature matters. You need like 145 degrees Fahrenheit plus. The time matters a lot. The heat shock protein effect. There's a lot of things that happen from it that are very good. So as a lifestyle practice, 100%, it may help you if it is something that you've been doing for a long time, be someone who potentially recovers from things quicker.
Yeah.
But adding it in all of a sudden is not going to be like this massive.
It's not going to be a silver bullet scenario where you obviously are going to be a completely different athlete if you start incorporating this as a lifestyle change.
Right.
It might help you feel better long-term.
Downregulate,
increase longevity. Great.
Yep.
But it's not something that you can just port in and out at your leisure to maximize your recovery overnight. It's
right. Like taking like deer antler spray or something. You don't get this big kick in the balls. We'll combo the next two, sensory deprivation and salt cave. Salt cave is going to be like almost entirely placebo, your attitude, your belief, that environment, the anticipation of that space, again, down regulating. Cool.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah. Sensory deprivation for me just came from my last interrogation. I didn't really feel very recovered afterward.
All right. So yeah, depending on I've done sensory deprivation while being very anxious going into it, just from the chapter of life I was in. Horrible. And I've done it also where I felt much more equipped and able to be at peace with that type of stuff. Is it going to change your recovery? Again, if it was a very regular part of your lifestyle practice, I would argue yes, in that you have a very good ability to shift into this parasympathetic state and you like learn how to become meditative and downregulate and quiet things. And that just puts you in a space where it's much easier. Is it going to make your shit heal faster the day you do it? No.
Yeah.
Red light therapy. There's a lot of devices that exist on the market. You can Amazon a piece of shit lamp that has a red bulb in it. The problem with this is that
just become your own little lizard.
Yep. Certain devices are much more rigorously quality tested, and the way that the light travels is measured in nanometers. There's a certain frequency within that spectrum of light that will penetrate to certain levels of the skin where other wavelengths will not. So to know the quality of what the devices are that are being used, if you're in like a spa type place, they probably have good stuff. If you feel like a little bit of heat from it almost on your skin and afterwards you get like a nice sort of energy boost, great. There is some good validity around like mitochondrial function and some like uptick in things. But again, lower hanging fruit. If you have a device and you're shining it on your fucked up ACL every single day, good. You're definitely not hurting anything. If you stop doing that and still did all the other things like sleep and eat well and do your rehab well, you're still going to be fine.
Probably on the same path.
Right. So it's one of those things like if you cognitively feel like you are doing more and it's helping and you feel better and it hurts less and whatever, let it rip. Is it going to be the, life-changing thing? Probably not.
Fair.
Rest days and
I like this
active rest. This is said all the time. I took an active rest day and it's going to be down to the individual, and if they're good about it, it can be fine to keep their body moving and moving towards say a recomp goal or a caloric output goal if they want to lose weight or burn fat. However, from personal experience, it is something that's of a huge benefit. Is I've found in my more recent years and all the people that I train now is it's just as important on the days that you're not lifting or exercising as the days that you are. Yeah, it's the other side of the scale.
Right. And we're also in this really unfortunate tribal war. We always talk about that on the internet of the crazy bodybuilder trope is saying that you don't need rest. You just go until you can't go anymore.
And then go more.
Yeah. And then you don't have to worry about fatigue or recovery. And then you have a bunch of other people on the other side that are trying to be overtly optimal and are honestly trying to avert the hard work by distilling it down to the simplest, least frequent exercises and to maximize the recovery. Now, I think they're both too far into the tribal extreme. You know, one needs to be doing less and one needs to be doing more, kind of meet in the middle. But rest days and recovery is absolutely important because your muscles need to recover, your nervous system needs to recover. And if you just track your lifts, you'll see what works and what doesn't. You're trying to progress every single week, or at least you should. And if you go too far in one direction, you will see that maybe you will start regressing. A weight that you moved last week might not feel as easy this week. You might feel burnt out. Generally, I've come to the realization in later years that if you're going so hard where you need like a deload week, you're doing too much. And I come from the background of doing too much, where someone told me that there was no such thing as overtraining. I would train 14 hours a week. I'd be in the gym every day for 2 hours. And like you said, stealing your mind, I forced myself mentally to do it. But my performance on paper was dog shit.
And progressively getting worse.
Yes. So I think there is something to be said where if you really want to change your stars, you probably need to work a little harder than you realize if you're just getting started, but not put yourself through a meat grinder like I did. And don't listen to just some steroidal person that has a lot of other additives in their corner other than the work that are getting them to that goal, saying that, oh, you're just not working hard enough. It's just like, well, there's other things at play here, and I'm a human being that's not on a bunch of enhancements. So
I think a big hot button piece of it too becomes like people will again find some way to argue about something and say there's no such thing as a rest day or an active recovery day. Like if you're not, you existing is not at rest. And there's these ideas that like you don't ever go into this space, which I don't really understand personally, but I get the piece of them trying to like tug at something. Can you give an example of what like a rest day looks like for you?
Just walking, just my normal.
So you're not you didn't go to the gym and lift.
Right. Now, granted, my rest days are probably a little bit more active than other people. So I guess for the most part, my days are active recovery days because while I'm not under any sort of real strain, I am constantly on my feet. I am moving things around. I'm moving hundreds of 45-pound plates a day. So my body's constantly in motion, but I'm not imparting any stress on my muscles or my nervous system to do it. So an active recovery day would be someone that could get in some jogging or some running or some hill sprints if that was not going to compromise, say, like a leg day that's right coming up the next day. Yoga of some sort of class that's not too intense on your nervous system. That's all fine. But a rest day for me is just doing my job, getting somewhere between 10 to 15,000 steps a day. And yeah, I only at the most lift 4 days a week. And they're not in sequence. There's days in between them strategically placed, whether it be on purpose or just by my schedule is being busy. That leaves me true rest days to help me recover and then allow me to continually progressively overload every time I lift.
So a rest day is not just like be a piece of shit on the couch.
No, but those can still happen as long as they're not pattern forming. Because then the more times you do that, the easier it is to get off of your goals, your discipline, your path, your routine. And then you fast forward 6 months, you're like, oh, I haven't been in the gym in a while and I'm feeling kind of dog shitty. So yeah.
Cool.
So I thankfully don't have the time and the likelihood in my life with what I have going on to just sit there and do nothing. I'm always accountable for something.
What
about you? What's an active recovery day look like for you on the other side of the coin?
I mean, I think you described it like a little bit more intentionality, like people in the running world will say like a shakeout run, or like, I'll just go for a ride on the bike and just like cruise around the neighborhood. And if it felt like, wow, my legs are fucking burning because they're still sore from whatever thing, then I'll do less and then I'll go back home. Like you just sort of play it as like, where am I at? I want to like get some stretching and some mobility stuff in, a lot of cars, a lot of like exploring, like, okay, where am I feeling some stuff? I did like a little bicep tweak maybe like 2 weeks ago. So my rest days look like I was just like adding in some degree of like loading into that space and just like constantly doing little check-in things.
Working on connective tissue.
Yeah, just like that kind of shit. And sometimes it is just like flopped around and play a video game and fuck off and just like not.
Yeah, a little mental soul reset, if you will.
Yep, absolutely.
Shake off the stressors of the world. Nice.
Last thing on the list is tissue stuff. So like
tissue stuff like fascial and
foam rolling, deep sports massage, or just regular massage work. Something like a Normatec boot, like the compressive boots. Good or bad for recovery. We'll also circle back. Rest days good for recovery. Just to be clear.
Yeah. Tissue stuff I think is great for recovery, especially fascial release, foam rolling. I'm a big proponent of a lot of my own personal tensions and people that I work with, because they live in sedentary lifestyles, really having to like break open tension in hips and glutes, which people don't realize that's accountable for a lot of their pain in like pelvic regions, low back, even like their knees. And a lot of it starts with their hips because they're not doing anything with them.
Right.
And they get impacted and they're just trashed. So it's a gnarly implementation, but just rolling around on a lacrosse ball really starts to break up a lot of that adhesion. And it might be miserable for your first 2 to 3 go arounds, but the relief is almost immediate.
Yeah.
They get a lot more movement, freedom, and it's like, oh, okay, I'm not just a crippled little shrimp over a desk anymore.
Yeah.
So that same thing, like mid back and traps are great with a lacrosse ball. It's very specific. It's very gnarly, but it gets the job done. Yeah. Foam rolling is always going to be great too. I think people try to just gloss over that. They'll say they foam roll, but it's a much more slow, deliberate.
Or they're just like sort of
it's a lengthy process to get the most out of it, but it's a very minimum barrier of entry, very low in time investment thing. 5 to 10 minutes done with intention and focus. Yeah. Your body can feel a lot more recovered almost immediately if you had a pretty crazy bout of exercise, if you went into that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely a proponent of it. It's a big chunk of my professional life. I'll speak about the tissue work last, but foam rolling, like you said, can be really excellent when implemented the right way. A good example of the right way would look like, let's say your right calf is very tight and restricted feeling. You would position yourself on the ground, straighten that leg, lay it on the foam roller or in whatever leverage you need to be able to create some kind of pressure into that actual roller, ball, whatever the thing. It doesn't really matter, honestly. And then a really good way to think about it is like you find the space that feels the most restrictive to you, and then you want to start to add like tiny little inputs of movement, like gas pedal down with the foot, peel toes towards the shin, a little bit of like ankle rotation, where you're adding a active component of movement while that tissue is under load. You'll get much more bang for your buck much faster versus what people I think are trying to do when they're like much more quickly like rolling is almost like the same thing as like a soft tissue flush, especially like college athletes or people that have just like part of their team, like the PT will come and just sort of flush legs out post practice, post game, in between the game, whatever kind of thing. You feel the difference of that for sure. That's why like a Normatec boot is amazing. Those are boots that go over the whole leg. They encapsulate both legs. They make them for the arms as well. And what's beautiful about these is that they move chamber to chamber. So it is compressing you at the foot and then at the ankle and then at the shin and then up the shin and then at the knee and then at the quad and then at the top of the quad. And
those are things that look like half like a bomb disposal suit.
Moon boots, yeah. And they will squeeze the blood sequentially up back towards your heart in a way that is really effective and efficient. And in some ways, I would argue much better than tissue work because it is all encompassing. And I can't really squeeze your foot that way and then also like move all of it up without some backflow happening. And obviously there is some degree of it. It's not literally squeezing all the blood and occluding all of it. But if you're really, really sore in the legs, wearing those boots for 25 minutes, you'll get up and be like, holy shit.
That's cool.
It feels,
I've had no experience, but that's pretty rad.
Yeah. They also just feel good. Like it just feels good the same way that like some tissue work can just feel just like nice. And then, yeah, for sure. There's lots of good information on, the post sport flush, in terms of recovery, just getting stuff moving, where there's swelling, where there's any type of overinflamed area. without being too deep with tissue work, you don't want to be like fucking elbow deep in somebody's calf after they just
Sounds miserable.
played a game of anything really. Yeah, that is now counterintuitive. So we're talking about a pretty superficial flush is definitely going to help with recovery. If you're like injured, hamstring strain, tear kind of thing, same idea. A flush can be helpful to like help with like pooling of fluid, but it is not really that greatly indicated in terms of like boosting your recovery. And I'm the first to say that because people will come in with a blown up hamstring and they're like, can you work this out? I'm like, no,
my friend.
I can't put more tension into this fucked up area that feels fucked up. Like that's not how that
inflammation needs to go down first, and then
shit needs to recover. So flushing is very different in terms of the practice of like how to apply it, how much tension. Some people may have done like lymphatic work. Huge yes, that shit is slow and I think very annoying, but there are some practitioners that are really excellent with it.
We'll leave you with this last little quick one.
Yeah.
What is a recovery modality that you adopted that did nothing for you, and what's something that you didn't realize was going to be great that you later adopted? You're like, I wish I would have done this sooner.
I would say maybe like too aggressively stretching as a recovery modality. Like same idea as what I just discussed. Like if the tissue is really, really worked, you're super fucking sore, you don't really want to be pulling at it. You might get this like analgesic after the fact where you feel, oh yeah, like I opened shit up, but we're sort of fighting ourselves a little bit there.
Which is a nice throwback to our injury episodes, because a lot of people, especially in low back snags and strains, they will immediately go to stretching it.
Yeah.
Which is just going to keep it pissed for longer.
Right. And yeah, any kind of nerve thing is just like, they're like, oh, my sciatica, when I reach my leg out as far as I can, I'm like, no, do not.
And what's one that it took a little too long to get to that you wish you would have started sooner?
Oh man, I would say just like proper breathing mechanics. Once you learn how to like expand into your back, the ability to like down regulate via breathing properly, just that headspace it can put you in is just like unparalleled.
Dope.
Yeah.
Nice.
What about you? You have some?
I mean, fascia release and more specific, I feel like lacrosse ball things was something I probably should have got into sooner. And in terms of recovery that I adopted originally that I kind of got rid of, that one I don't really think. I mean, I've like a lunk idiot. I've always just been like lifting, and then I will address things once it's like, oh, something feels shitty. But thankfully, for the most part, things have not felt shitty.
Yeah.
But when you're really trying to move a ton of weight, and it's sometimes the things get cranky.
Yeah.
So that's about it.
Right on.
It's a far less more interesting answer on my behalf. I'm sorry to say.
It's okay. It is what it is. It's all in an honest day's work.
Yes. And I think that's about it.
We did it.
Toodles.
Until next time, jabronis.
Bye.